Welcome to Guzzler.
Hello and welcome. Why is it every time I'm trying to start?
I'm literally just looking at my
He's
beer.
doing that.
This is I had some leftover beer in here from last week.
Hello
sing
and
to
welcome
myself.
back. Enough.
I can actually sing to myself.
That's
though.
nice. Welcome back to the Guzzler podcast. This is episode 59.
Guzzler Podcast.
I've had enough of you.
Oh, I'm just literally smelling my beer.
Episode 60 next week, isn't it?
It is.
That's a big one. Should we just do that one instead?
Yeah. Alright. Today we're going to talk about leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's the leader of this podcast? Currently you.
I've got leadership
Is
on,
there a leader of this podcast?
I'm
Me.
in leadership on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Oh,
Um,
who's the leader of this podcast, or is it like a?
Democracy.
I'm just checking. He's got most leadership qualities.
We'll get to it. It's called distributed leadership.
Right.
So, when I say the word leader, who comes to mind?
Chloe.
Bojo.
Chloe leader. What? That was the question. You said who comes to mind?
Ah, that's good.
Chloe leader.
Yeah, brilliant. My dad's got a mate called Paul Leader. Zoe Leader. That's good.
I'm done now. What is there more to that?
It's Chloe. Chloe, you're brilliant. In my head, becomes Boris, but not because of any good qualities, but because it's drilled into us every day that Boris is a fool of a leader. Is that right?
Yeah. You can list more. This is
first-
it's
the
an open
first-
I
question.
can't get on Boris out of my head. Ah!
Other than Chloe leader, that's the song. The first person that came to mind genuinely is Pat from Ghosts.
It's a
You've seen
genuine.
Ghosts? He's the first person that came to my head.
that is mad. That is mad.
He's like a scout leader. He died. He was shot in the neck.
Ah.
By an arrow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right. Anyone else? Or just
Nah, that's it.
Bojo
I'm
and
stuck
Pat?
on that.
So, no, I think
Hitler?
Hitler, Churchill, Che Guevara. Different sort of leader.
Putin? Lenin? Brezhnev? Khrushchev?
I think that so we name lots of like
Stalin? I thought Stalin.
like-
Sorry.
like prime ministers and dictators, but what Che Guevara, different sort of leader, I suppose.
Che Guevara.
He's the Cuban bloke, led the revolution.
Fidel Castro?
Oh.
No, but he's
You said
the
Cuban?
leader. Yeah,
Yeah, Fidel Castro.
Che Guevara led the
No.
leader
Anyone else?
of the free people.
Any other
What
leaders?
free?
What about
What free people?
Any leaders in
against
movies?
communism, wasn't
What free people?
it? Cubans.
What free people?
Oh, what free people? In movies, Han Solo, Princess Leia.
Braveheart?
Who? Braveheart.
What do you think I said?
I don't really know.
The first one you thought was Han Solo? He's
Well-
kind of like...
He leads the rebels, doesn't he? I suppose Princess Leia leads the rebels, really.
I
Doesn't
thought
she?
Han Solo's like too cool to be a leader. Like, that's kind of his thing. He's sort of
Yeah, I
like
suppose so,
psycho,
yeah.
doesn't he?
His name.
Yeah, yeah, Braveheart.
Ham.
Braveheart is one of my all-time favourite films.
You don't think about that, though, do you? He's
No.
called Han.
He's called Han.
That's horrible.
You know, Braveheart was described as the worst film to ever win Best Film.
Bye.
Which is
Lose now.
yeah, she's a massive Oscar buff. My nan is. I know it's often described as the worst film to win Best Film.
Oh.
Yeah.
Film leaders.
Danny Zuko.
Hitler.
Yeah, Inglourious Basterds. Yeah. And Danny Zuko is the leader of the T-Birds. Right?
One split. West Side Story.
Yeah, I was saying West Side Story. He's the leader of West Side Story. What about Venkman? Ghostbusters.
Alright, that's better. We're getting there.
Not
Darth
Danny
Vader?
Zuko. Darth Vader.
Yeah.
It's hard leaders in films, isn't it? Why am I struggling? Shouldn't be hard.
I'm
Think of military films. Fury.
Hitler.
Private Ryan. He wasn't the leader, was he? They had to save him.
But was he?
They had to save him. He wasn't
Yeah,
very
but the
good
guy
at it, was he?
who
Yeah, Mr. Hanks.
plays the
I'm just going
man.
to call him Tom
Yeah.
Hanks. He was Tom Hanks. So, yeah. What about Dominic Toretto?
Yeah. He leads a family, of course. Stronger than anything.
Is that what it is? Family. Oh, yeah. What was it again? What about I don't know, the leader of like the Magnificent Seven? There must have been a leader. You wouldn't have seven of them leading the way.
Tony Montana. I don't know. Is he the leader in that film?
Yeah.
What about the...
what's his name?
Mr. Bobby.
No, the Godfather was what I was going to say.
Zippy.
Yeah.
The Godfather.
Is he the leader? Bangles?
The Godfather.
Don
Very
Corleone.
different
The
things,
Bangles.
What
Walk
about...
like an
no.
Egyptian. Zippy
I'm
and
talking about
Bungle.
Rainbow, yeah.
Zippy and
I was
Bungle.
trying to look at who the leader of Rainbow is.
Zippy is, right?
What
Or the
about-
bloke.
Nah, Zippy's a dopey dog twat, isn't he?
The bloke then. George.
Michael.
George
Not
is the
the
bloke.
bloke.
George
I
is
know,
the
not
bear.
is it?
No,
It's the
no.
cow, isn't it? The elephant?
Yeah.
The elephant?
No.
There's a bloke. There's a bloke. There's a bloke.
What about
George
film?
is the bear. He's Bungles. Bungles.
Bungles is the bear. George is the pink thing.
What is happening?
George is the pink thing.
Yeah,
If
which
you've
is-
yeah.
If you've
I know
just
you mean
joined
now.
us, they're both having a stroke.
This episode's terrible.
Bungles, zingles.
Bungles singles.
Have you seen Rambo?
No.
This means nothing to you.
No. You're literally talking out your ass.
This means nothing to a lot of people.
He's
He's a hippo, isn't he?
He's a hippo. Yes.
He's actually a
Yes,
hippo.
he's a hippo. Yeah. Oh, no way.
What about films about business?
Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street?
He answered it. I just got his thing. We're
Yeah.
in sync, mate.
Any other?
Wait, what was the question? Sorry?
Leaders in films.
Leaders in films.
Oh,
Or
what's
just
that
films
bloke's
about, You said
name?
films about business.
Yeah, but I'm trying to. I'm
What's
trying to
his
get
name?
away
Directed
from
to?
Rainbow.
The film, literally Wall Street. That real
Moneyball.
funny name. Real funny name.
Not
That bloke.
about that.
It was Dustin Hoffman. No, it wasn't Dustin Hoffman.
Films about business.
Oh, talking about Dustin Hoffman, he leads a team in.
Meet the Foggers. Dustin Hoffman leads a team in.
Films about A-Team. Mr. T.
Who does
Dustin Hoffman is Mr. T.
That is a mental one. What's he do? Dustin Hoffman did what? I'm finding out the film Wall Street.
He leads a shop.
Red Ranger.
No.
In Power Rangers, he's a leader.
Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium. You've got Social Network.
Oh yeah, Facebook.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Zuckerberg.
Yep. Okay, so we've named all these leaders in all these different films.
I've got to find Wall
I feel like
Street.
you planned that. As if
Michael Douglas. Gordon Gekko. Sorry, I just had to find that.
I feel like you planned that
Sounds a weird
segue as if we would have had good answers, but we haven't.
I did plan it.
We've got
Let's
George
be
and
honest.
Zippy.
Braveheart. I just love Braveheart. Let's
We've
talk about
done
Braveheart for a while.
Braveheart. Mel Gibson.
Yeah, absolute amazing film.
I'm gonna ignore the films part of
There's
this.
that bit
and
where they're
we'll talk
running
about
and he keeps changing weapons in his hand.
Yeah,
doesn't he?
it's a
You
shield,
seen that?
it's like an axe and a...
Have you seen that though?
it. No.
You seen that?
Really
No.
good.
1 minute it's like like an axe, and then it's like a balloon. And then
It's a
one of them big
lightsaber!
foam mallets.
And he's got a foam finger! And he's just... Oh,
Every time they
You never
cut to
seen
it,
that?
it swaps.
it's... Yeah.
You've never seen that?
And at the same time, then Benny Hill music's playing. It's just really...
One point he's just got one black arm.
Yeah. And then it's Meryl Streep. You never seen that?
That's way better than
Oh.
one shot.
So it won worst best film.
I see why.
My favourite
Meryl
Braveheart is when...
She's a good leader,
she's
isn't
a
she?
good leader, yeah.
Abba?
My favourite thing in Braveheart is this.
Devil Wears Prada.
Mm.
I'm just going to tell you a scene in Braveheart. I'm not going to. What's the point of me telling you? It's just a random scene. I'm just enjoying myself.
Well,
Can we move on
Yeah,
from
yeah,
this
go on. When you're ready.
shambles that
Yeah.
happens every single time it's my episode? Thank you.
I keep thinking about Rainbow.
They can take our lives, but they never take our freedom.
That sounded just like Zippy.
Take a breath. You done?
Yeah.
Good. So,
God, it's going. I've got loads. I've got
I'm
loads of
going to
stuff.
pause this and let you get this out of your system because you begin to piss me off.
It's kind of film. I was just really thinking each other.
And it's like when your mum tells you off, you got the giggles.
Yeah. Oh, it's just.
You best go pause that.
I just can't stop now. It's just.
I mean, Deck, I don't want to be rude, but it's not like you've got enough confidence. You've used both your questions already.
15 minutes!
I thought you were about 6 minutes in.
That's so funny.
I've answered all your questions. L Street. No, lead Darth Vader, Han Solo, Boy George. I've got your answers.
Should we just forget this episode and record it at a different time?
No, I'm ready. I think it's important that we enjoy ourselves in the episode. I'm here.
Okay, so
Yeah, go on.
what makes a good leader? You say fucking Zippy, I'm going to shove that glass up your ass.
Well, I wrote down what was in a poll. What was the 8 best qualities of being a leader?
Okay.
Do you want to have a guess of them?
Yeah.
Confidence.
Charisma.
So self-esteem and self-confidence was number 5.
Yeah.
Empathy.
No,
Right.
but I agree that'd be. I'd put it at number 9.
What poll have you sourced?
Like
that from?
assuredness.
It's just a British book. No,
Like assured of himself. It's like self-confidence.
Uh,
Yeah, it's self-confidence.
so this is in terms of if you was running a business, if you was like a manager or something.
managers and
Time
leaders.
management.
But you have to be a good leader to be a manager. Don't you?
Is this like a CV
do
thing?
you?
Is it like
I think
time
so.
We'll
management?
talk about that later.
Well, no, not necessarily. I'll tell you. So it says like
Organisation
you need
skills.
knowledge of the business. You need to know what you're doing. Makes a good leader. If you don't, you're not good. You need good drive, desire to want to do good and want the best for the people around you.
That's driving it.
So yeah, honesty and integrity, self-esteem and self-confidence, open-minded, intelligence, and I can't pronounce this word. Extroversion.
Yeah.
Extroversion. Extroversion.
No,
Extroversion. What's that?
Extroversion,
extrovert.
introversion.
Extrovert.
To be
Yeah.
extrovert.
You haven't got to be extrovert, I would argue.
I also don't think you have to be intelligent
No.
to be a good leader.
No.
But I think there's different sorts of intelligence, isn't there?
No.
There's different sorts of leaders.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here to discuss.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't put intelligence on that sort of list, though.
I suppose so, yeah.
Irrelevant, really, isn't it?
Also, where did you get that from?
I typed into Google, what makes the best qualities, and it was the first one that came up.
Okay. So what you've kind of found there is
It's not BuzzFeed. No, it wasn't. It was on like it was on like a newspaper thing. There was like a poll. It wasn't just like
Was it the Mirror?
I don't know what it was. No, it was a good one. Like, like Guardian, so Telegraph.
so what you've found there is or stumbled upon is the trait theory of leadership, right? Now, trait theory dates its origins back to the 1800s, like or mid 1800s, 1844, I think, when scholars started to decide what makes a good leader. Now, they decided that a good leader is always a man. He's always very educated.
Well, to be fair, did you realise that in everyone we named all men?
Yeah, apart from Meryl Streep.
Yeah, but I want to go. Zippy and George are homosexuals, though, so they.
A Boy George, someone mentioned.
I'm saying there's diversity there.
Yeah.
Just not gender.
But this
Meryl
is.
Streep.
I did just say Meryl Streep.
But I'm saying that's the only one we said.
Yeah.
That wasn't on purpose, though. But
No.
that is funny how we said that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And there are others that you didn't mention. And we will talk about it this episode. But
female leaders.
Cleopatra. Actually, I've just done about my degree because it wasn't that much of a good leader.
Yep.
Nor was this with the first.
Um,
in fact.
So yeah, trait theory of leadership dates its origins back about 200 years, and the first theory that came out of it was called the Great Man Theory, and it was that to be a leader you had to be a man, you had to be very educated, probably very rich, and then it sort of started to move. So trait theory didn't come off looks or esteem; it come from the way you acted, and that's where that comes from. So you had to be very knowledgeable, confident, extroverted. You often had to be very tough.
I think this comes from the idea of what we consider like the stereotypical leader, doesn't it?
Yeah. And that's why I asked
Yeah.
what makes a good leader.
Yeah,
And
so-
I want to hear your opinions of what you see as good leaders,
So-
because it is very, very subjective.
If you ask like it's probably best if I use in terms of like a school, like I don't know, like some 12-year-olds to draw a leader, they'd probably draw a man in a suit, right?
Yeah. More than
Yeah,
likely.
100%.
But if you asked a soldier, it'd be very different to
exactly,
someone who works in business.
Yeah.
It'd be very different to someone who's a child or someone who works in teaching. They'd all be very...
And if it was like, don't think about it too much, like draw a leader, I don't think many people would draw women.
No, unless you know...
But if you thought about it, you go, well, a woman can, so I'll draw a woman.
That's the point, though, isn't it? That's the problem.
Yeah, that is the
No,
problem.
I don't think any of us, I know none of us here believe that women can't be good leaders. I know we don't believe that.
No.
But we didn't think of women. And I don't even think that's because we just don't think, it's just because there just isn't as many, which is the problem. Like,
And
female prime ministers, only 2, and I'd argue they were both dog shit.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't name them as good leaders.
No.
That's not the fault of women.
But they were good leaders. They just weren't good at their job of which they were leaders. But she
as
led...
a leader, I don't think she's a good leader.
Do you not think Theresa May has just put sort of like shoehorned into that role?
I could see an argument for Margaret Thatcher being a good leader, just politically not aligned to me at all. But I don't think Theresa May is a good leader.
The thing is...
I would say that
there's
Margaret
a debate
Thatcher
here.
probably was actually a good leader. She's just the Tory, which is the issue, isn't it?
No, she was a good leader, but she was bad at her job. So there's a difference between leadership and the role in which they play that leadership.
No, I understand that. I just don't think Theresa May was a good leader.
Well, yeah, but Margaret Thatcher is the example.
Is a good leader.
She was a good leader. She quite righteously, very aggressively led the Tory party.
She is like a 100% Tory. Like,
Yeah, she's
more Tory than
it's literally called Thatcherism. They named a
Exactly.
policy after her.
Yeah.
But she was at the job of being Prime Minister. She was dog shit. But she was a very, very good leader. Same as Hitler. Hitler led Germany out of the economic crisis.
Public works, hospitals, schools, rearmament.
Yep.
Anti-smoking. He was against smoking. Those campaigns against smoking. Autobahn.
Yeah.
Made the Autobahn.
Yeah.
Just throwing words at you now.
Yeah.
We have an episode on Hitler though.
I know, but I'm saying like they're the good things that he done.
With Noam.
Yeah. He knows a lot about Hitler.
But there was also a lot of bad that he did.
Was it?
You just don't hear about the bad. Just because here.
Anyway.
I like if you use the word also, like, in case you're not aware.
Yeah, so this is
He was a bit picky of who he liked, weren't he, Hitler?
Yeah. And then towards the sort of mid-1900s, we established the transactional and transformational styles of leadership. Transactional, that being, you do this for me, I'll pay you more. And that's how they sort of motivated people to try and get more out of them.
That doesn't define a good leader though.
No, but if someone, what it was, they decided that the definition of leadership has changed since then. So it was that people who could inspire followers, and especially this was very industrial time. We were trying to build back after the war, and it was who could inspire the most efficient workforce.
Yeah, I think
But how does that replace the trait one?
Because it didn't necessarily come from people who were rich.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think back then it was more about who was probably most ballsy?
Yeah.
Like, when it was at places of work and steel factories and stuff like that, you didn't have to be intelligent. You just had to be able to fight the cause.
Yeah.
And get people to believe in you.
Yeah, and this was a time of great unionisation. We had a lot of unions coming up.
Yeah, I was going to say
a lot of so a lot of people were fighting the good fight, and things like that. And then we finally...
Oscar Schindler, he was a good leader. Sorry, I just mentioned that earlier, but yeah.
Yeah, he displayed a concept called moral leadership, which we will touch on very shortly. Because that all comes from transformational leadership, which is where we're kind of at now. And that's kind of stemmed off into all of the ways we think leaders work currently, which is they transform followers into, more efficient people.
Right.
Now, to be a leader, do you think you have to have followers?
Yes.
Why?
Well, otherwise, what are you leading?
Yeah, I think that...
But leaders would be leaders without followers, right? Hitler would have had the same qualities he did have
Yeah,
But does that
leader.
not mean you've got the qualities of leader? Doesn't mean you're leading though. There's barriers to become leader, right? Like I think. Can I say this on camera?
At that point, he just has the capacity to be a leader. It doesn't mean he is a leader.
Okay.
I think. Can I say this on camera?
We can cut it out if you.
If we say, look, you can't say
It's not that bad, but I think that like I know.
They're just going to see one big bleep.
I
and then
think
we go.
When did you say that? That's not bad.
Why did you even ask?
You pull up your shit. No, I just think that I could lead SLT, and I just think I could. But the barrier that keeps me from getting there is the fact that I don't have a degree.
Right.
And that doesn't make me any more better of a leader because I have a degree.
No, but and this is the thing because you're already a leader, but you're not in that role.
Yeah, because I haven't got a degree.
Yeah.
So why should that stop me when I know that I can do a better job than I'm taking this out? When I know that I can do a better job than some people in it, and I can prove that.
And this is my point.
Yeah.
But that's.
And this is kind of you got to do this bit.
Alfie's point.
Before Ofsted came the other day, I sat down and went, "How would you change things?" And I told them a list of about 6 things, and 4 of them came up on our Ofsted report. And I said, "I told you." And I said, "Why can't I be SLT?" No, you haven't got a degree. And I was like, "Why does that matter? Why does that make me any different?" When you got some teachers who are absolute dog shit, but they can be SLT, and I can't, and they basically went, "Yeah, thanks."
No, but I completely agree with the principle of what you're saying. I completely.
I'm not disagreeing with either of you.
No, I completely agree with the principle of what you're saying. Again, it's the same as last episode where we argued about belief, and it's like I agree, but it's the wording I'm trying to get in my head. Like you're not a leader if you're not leading, but that doesn't mean you don't have the qualities to be a leader, or you don't have the capacity to be a great leader. It doesn't mean you couldn't be a great leader, but like you're literally not doing it, so you're not it. Like I'm sure I could be a fucking incredible ballerina, but like I'm not out there twirling. I think I'd like to be, so I'm not a ballerina.
You do twerk a lot though, don't you?
I do twerk a lot.
Say you get into politics, you want to lead. Sure, the end goal, I might be wrong, not for everyone, but the end goal would be you want to be Prime Minister. And if you've got like just 4 people in your local town supporting you, that might mean you're a good leader, but you're not that great because you're not getting up to the top, right? I'm not worded that quite right, but you're not that great because you're not.
But politics is very different because politics isn't about being a good leader; it's about saying the right thing.
Okay, so what about we talk?
And this is where the debate comes up.
And the issue is if
it's
it's
so hard to define what makes a good leader.
Yeah,
I don't know why we try.
I think that sometimes a face just fits. Like, for example, let's look at the England squad. Yeah, Harry Kane's.
The England squad, yeah.
Harry Kane's the captain.
Yeah,
but I don't think he should be.
No, exactly. Because John Henderson would be a good.
Yeah.
A good leader. But Harry Kane's face fits, doesn't he?
No, it's ugly.
No,
he's been made captain because he's good at football, which I think.
And because he's an icon.
Shit, when he plays.
But I don't think. This is a very different debate. I don't think the captain of a football team should necessarily be the best player.
No, I agree. No.
No.
I think Harry Kane's is the captain as well because of the fact that people go.
Also, Kane's been terrible for
Harry Kane. Harry Kane's like he's the goal scorer. He's the one who when people think of England, they think of Harry Kane. Like, that's why. He's an icon.
But that's because Gareth Southgate's spineless.
Yeah,
and he isn't
because his
necessarily
face
a good leader.
fits. And that's the barrier for John Henderson to go over. Right? He'll never get that point because he's not.
No.
I also personally don't believe strikers should ever be captains of football teams. Personally,
because they're not there at the front and not amongst.
I just think they should be like midfield or defence, really in the heart of it, and really like understanding the pace of the game.
You don't want 8 players behind you when you're trying to move them forward.
It makes sense, but that's a very personal opinion. But
yeah. Anyway,
do you not think that like when I say what's the point in defining a leader? Obviously, there's a kind of a point, but like, don't you think the obsession with defining traits and having lists of traits and having leaders should be this, leaders should be that, leaders should be this, leaders should be that, is just ruining what leadership really is?
And ruining people's chances of becoming leaders?
Well, this is the thing, because it brings up the importance of why we should know what makes a good leader.
Like, say someone's really not extroverted, or someone's just really introverted, but they're really, really good at their job and they really believe in what they're doing. They fundamentally just believe in what they're doing. I believe they could be a good leader.
Yeah.
Because you would look at them and you would go, they really care about this. Even though they're not extroverted, they're not out there all the time, but like they're working on it every day. So I want to work for them. They're still a good leader. They're not extroverted or confident or self-assured.
There's a big difference between extrovert and bringing confidence. Like, I would say that I'm sometimes introverted.
I wouldn't.
But when I sit in a meeting with like 30 people, I'm not trying to get myself out there. I just stay very, very quiet.
Yeah, I think so.
Like I'm comfortable in that situation. I'm comfortable in this situation, but it doesn't mean that I'm an extrovert. I'm comfortable talking in front of the camera. I'm talking on radio and things like that, and in wearing random things. But I don't think that would make me an extrovert. I'm much more happier sitting at home alone watching TV and like by myself.
Well, I think extrovert and introvert is pointless terms anyway. Because again, I think I'm quite an extrovert.
It's very situational.
Yeah.
It's very situational.
And this brings us on to a different style of leadership.
One quick thing. I was in a training thing a couple of weeks ago, and I had to go elsewhere for it, and they were trying to describe an introvert, and they're like, well, where does it make you most happy? And I was like, I'm not most happy when I'm standing in a pub in leopard print with my legs in the air being like, oh, that doesn't make me most happy. Like, I'd much rather not, but it's situational. Like when if I was in that opportunity, then sure, I'll take it. But it doesn't mean that that's what I strive to be.
Yeah. This brings us on to like situational theory of leadership, which is leaders are defined by the situation in which they lead. So in a team, someone may be better at leading in a certain situation than someone else.
It also depends who's on your team.
Does it?
So. I think so. If you've got, this is going to sound really horrible. If let's go stereotypical, right? If you've got the 5, real dead end kids, right, in school, right, and they've been put into a team, one of them needs to lead that team, yeah. But if you put them in any other team, they'd probably never be a leader ever again. It doesn't make them a leader. They make them a leader of them.
It does, because it's defined by the situation.
Yeah. In that situation, they're a leader, but never again in their life they're going to lead another situation ever again. But then they did. Doesn't mean they're a leader.
Doesn't it?
I don't think so.
We're all leaders then.
Yeah, we're all leaders then.
Yeah, in particular situations.
Yeah.
Is there anything wrong with that?
No, and I think that the people should have the opportunity to lead in every way possible. Everyone should. But when we're talking about what makes someone a leader, I wouldn't consider them a leader.
Okay, so that begs the question in ideas like leadership through specialisation, where people who are particularly good at something lead in that particular issue. Does that make them any less of a leader?
No, I think you should lead when that is your sort of...
Say if there was a coding problem on the website that will come up at some point.
We're looking at 13 months?
Alfie's got particular speciality.
Longer than that, 18 months. Yeah.
Or more so than us two.
Yeah.
He would deal with that.
But you wouldn't put me in charge of that, would you? Because I wouldn't have any clue in that, and that'd be a bad idea. That'd be a very bad idea.
But if I chucked him in the middle of a pub and went, good luck, his football shift, you couldn't lead.
I could.
No, exactly. But
does that make him any less than a leader?
No, it doesn't.
No. So it's defined by the situation. And the context in which they're being tested as a leader.
So we are all leaders then? Every
Potentially.
What's the point of the conversation then?
I'm just trying to get
I just think what's the fucking point? It's a waste of time and I might as well just go home. I can't lead a pub as well though.
I do think that's a good point.
You just want to talk about rainbow.
I do think that's a good point.
I've had enough.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done, mate.
I think that... I'm trying to get my head around the idea of like going back to those dead end kids that I was on about.
Yeah.
They're not leaders.
No.
Why are they?
One of them has to be.
They're not leaders. They don't lead.
One of
them has to
lead
be
in their life.
No, they're told to lead.
One of them has to be in that.
No, because that's managing.
Yeah, but
they've been told by a leader to manage the situation.
Yeah, so someone
teaches the leader
has told one of them to lead that group. So one of them has took the leadership role. But I don't think that makes them a leader.
Why not?
Because it's difficult to say, but I don't think at any other point in their life they would be a leader.
Also, some people don't want to be leaders. Some people refuse leadership.
Yeah.
Gordon Brown.
He
didn't want to be a leader, but he made it.
Why does that not make them a leader?
Because they're not leading.
But they are in that situation.
Should we?
They're forced to lead.
Should we also?
So?
Should we judge if it was leadership?
You just said it's management. You just told me it wasn't leading.
Should we also judge if it was leadership on their successes, though?
Not necessarily.
Why?
Because
here's my argument, right? So let's go back to the pub thing, right? if I'm your manager and I go, Deck, you're going to lead this team on this pub on football shift, right? And I do that every week for like a year, and I come to you a year later and I go, my sales have gone down, and it's been literally the worst day of my life every single week that it's football shift because you've been leading. You're never going to lead again. Would you go, I'm a bloody leader? Or do you go, yeah, fair enough?
No, I'm not good at leading in that particular situation. I can smell the silence.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll move on because
No, I think it's a very good point, which is why.
But this also brings up other things like moral leadership, and this is where we can really get into the nitty gritty of Hitler.
That's what I wanted to do. I'm here.
So Hitler was for very bad. I was going to say for better or worse, but he was very
You see my top point.
Gandhi.
Gaddafi.
Oh.
Colonel Gaddafi.
Leader
of Libya for like 40 years.
But a lot of leaders that we know come from a moral background. Gandhi, he was who you could call a leader, and he stood up against the British establishment.
Yeah.
Some of the things he did was questionable.
My favourite Gandhi story, I think I've said it on the podcast before. It's one of my favourite stories ever. You know about the Western medicine? I'll speed through it. It'll take a minute. When the British went over to India, and Gandhi's wife was really, really ill. I don't know, it was a real young wife, because he used to have them. She was really, really ill, and they went, look, Gandhi, look, Mahatma, we've got this banging Western medicine. We will cure her, and it's going to be sick. She was going to be real good. And Gandhi was like, I was going to use an accent. I'm not going to. He was like, no, I believe in Eastern, like, I want the plants, the herbs. We're not going to use any Western medicine. Like, Gandhi, she's going to die. And he goes, fine. We're just going to use the plants. She died. 3 weeks later, Gandhi has the same illness. And they go, Gandhi, should we give you those plants? And he goes, give me the Western medicine. And then he was fine. And it was just amazing that he basically cut his wife off because he didn't want to use Western medicine. And as soon as he got it, he was like, let me live.
You didn't believe enough.
Yeah.
Oh. So, alright, in that case, do you think morality must play a part in what makes a good leader?
Yeah, obviously. In all parts. I don't really get the... You've said, like, trait went into this, into this, into this, but I don't get the difference. They're all the same thing. You're just saying morality is a trait.
Yeah.
I think that...
Like, morality is always going to be a trait in every single thing ever. Right?
Is it?
Yes!
I think that... but isn't it people's morals are very different? Like, my morals are very different to like Boris Johnson's.
So you wouldn't class him as a very good leader, right?
100% no. I googled.
A lot of people in America
segued in very nicely to what I'm going to want to say.
Go on.
I googled, as I did with Gaddafi and Hitler, the best things that Boris Johnson has done since being in his position, and I couldn't find genuinely.
Doggy.
Oh, that's disgusting. I couldn't find a single article after August 2020 that would talked about him being a good leader. Right? I couldn't find one. Yeah. And then I found one. I found two, and I looked at the first one. And I was like, "You're trying to tell me why he's a good leader, and you just ripped him." So I had to look at another one again. It was really hard to find anything. They said that one said that he tried to employ a lot more police officers, but the finish point was knife crime's gone up. Then it said that. And loads of stuff kept saying like he wants to do this, and then it was like at the bottom verdict. It was like, well, COVID happened, so he hasn't done it yet, but wait and see. And then it was something else, and it'd be like, well, he's had it a bit tough because pandemic. And I was like, you can't just go, well, he's COVID and all that.
The funny thing about
and then someone said that this article said he got us through COVID, and then the verdict went. But he did, he ordered all that PPE and he did it wrong. And, he also done that. And I was like, just because someone had to be in power during COVID doesn't mean that they done it. Boris, give the nurses a pay rise. Or we could clap them. Like, yeah. And then the one thing done, he led us into Brexit. And I was like, well, Brexit was going to happen at some point anyway. Again, someone...
just in power.
Yeah. No. He was the unlucky side who had to do it. And a quick thing on that actually is that recently during all this cop stuff, it's not actually anything to do with cop, but they keep talking about the fact that a lot of MPs got 2 jobs. You hear this? So MP's got 2 jobs. One MP, real high up, has got a job which he gets paid £900,000 a year for, on top of his MP wage.
Let's go for pay.
I don't know if it is, but he was during COVID lockdown after someone in you couldn't travel. He was in the Caribbean, like working and doing like trade deals. And he was like got his own like working for another business, getting £900,000 a year. And I wonder if he's on emergency tax because he's got 2 fully paid jobs. If he's on emergency tax, because when I went to Screwfix and I started working for Hart, I got charged 40% tax, and I rang the tax bill, and he went, "Oh, you got 2 jobs." I was like, "Yeah, but one's a casual job." He went, "How much are you gonna get paid a year?" I was like, "I could work once throughout the whole year. I could work every single day." He went, "So I need an exact figure," and I was like, "I can't give that." He went, 40% tax then, and I
should have just said nothing.
So I was like, I was arguing this case for ages. He was like, "No," I was like, £300. He went, "Yeah, but you're not the way." I went, "But I could just get £300." He went, "Yeah, but you could get 20,000."
You told me an exact figure, so I'm earning £300. I couldn't, and then I was like, I wonder if this bloke's getting paid emergency tax, or because he's an MP, and you know, one of Boris's chums, is he? Well, he doesn't pay tax at all. He'd have an accountant to do it for him.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've completely lost my train of thought. So that's great. The funny thing about the police as well is the Tories cut all the police, and then Boris had to put them back.
Yeah. Oh, well, you mean like when this is being filmed, as of 12 o'clock tonight, all the care workers leave their job if they haven't been double jabbed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if one woman was on the news.
They've got till April.
No, the care workers are tonight. The doctors are till April.
Oh.
And the one woman was on the news tonight. She was crying. She went, "I finished my shift. It's really sad. I've worked there for 15 years, and my friends and my patients and stuff." She went, "The most annoying thing is, there's a couple of people who come in to visit their family every single day without fail who aren't double jabbed." But she had to quit her job. Not get quit her job. She had to be forced out of her job because she wasn't double jabbed.
Why did she just get jabbed then?
She didn't believe it for whatever reason.
She loses her job.
Idiot.
But I just don't think we can get people.
I think we should.
Yeah.
I think it feels very Nazi.
No, it doesn't.
Does it?
I think it does.
It's just like the opposite of Nazi.
I think it
You're
feels.
saving
I think
their lives,
it
not
feels
killing
you're getting
them.
people out of their
Making
jobs.
people save their
I
own
also
life.
think that whether she was double jabbed or not, or triple jabbed, she can still give people COVID. She can still pass on COVID.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So what's the point?
But
then?
it's
It's
less
better.
likely.
That's why you're jabbed.
But she can still pass on COVID, and then
Yeah,
families are
but it's
coming.
less likely.
But families are coming into that.
And
care
it's
home.
less likely that you or the people you pass it on to will end up
But
in
the people
hospital if
visiting the
everyone's double
home
jabbed.
are most likely only visiting the people they're related to.
Yeah, so that they can kill him instead of her.
Yeah, but that's the risk that their family takes.
Yeah, I just think
as a family.
I just think to clarify, I am double jabbed, and I agree people should get double jabbed. But I don't know. I find it weird that we're just forced to put out of their jobs for not getting double jabbed. I just find it weird.
I don't think you can be a care worker if you don't care enough to get jabbed. You're not a care worker because you don't care. If you're not double jabbed, you don't care. And I'll fight someone over that. You don't care.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
I don't understand this aversion to totalitarian. We're being forced. It's not fair. It's so hard.
Makes me sad, Dick, but I'm not. I'm double jabbed, and I would never not get double jabbed. What does annoy me is the wording of you get a double jab and a booster. No, it's triple jabbed, isn't it? It's not double jabbed.
Yeah, but who cares? I got on a plane for the first time in 2 years, 3 weeks ago.
In
and
fairness,
it was fucking amazing. I went on holiday. I don't care about getting a second jab. For people that fucking moan and they keep the government's making me do it, then don't do it. And fuck off. Stay unemployed. I don't care. Don't get on a plane. Don't go abroad. Don't enjoy the things that you want to do. I don't care. That's your choice. I'm saving myself and the people around me. You've chosen not to.
I think we missed my point there. So you have to have your first and second jab 3 months apart, and your booster comes after 4 months.
Yeah,
that's 3 jabs in it. That's not 2 jabs.
It's a booster. The double jabs work as one system in terms of their functionality.
Surely
the double jabs is one thing.
But you have to have the booster jab.
It's sort of Wi-Fi extender.
The booster jab's like an extension. Yeah, it's like giving you more antibodies. Giving you a bit
double
of
jab
boost.
is like the Wi-Fi router. And if you had a booster out here, that'd be the.
But I find it weird having a booster in the same amount of time that it took me between my second and my first.
Yeah, no, but a lot of the people that have
it feels like I'm just having 3 jabs.
Old people, and they had it a year ago.
But it feels like I'm just having my third jab.
You're having a third jab.
Yeah.
But it's not like the reason it's called a booster is different.
But if you're having the flu jab for the past 20 years, would you have 20 jabs of flu
Yeah,
vaccine?
it's my 20th jab.
Because after your third jab,
I get a sticker.
You don't get every jab after that 3 months apart.
No, but what you want to say...
the old people that got both jabs last year...
Yeah, but they don't get their 4th, 5th, 6th, 3 months every 3 months.
No,
they will
but
keep getting boosters.
you've only
every 3 months,
they've only just started offering boosters.
Yeah, but not every 3 months. No, but it won't be every 3 months. It's like years.
Yeah, but
a year apart.
but
like the flu one.
So yours will be a year apart,
Yeah.
just not this year.
Yeah, so it's triple jab then.
The only reason it's happened like this is because the time has ended up at winter. The boosters are every winter. It's only ended up as 3 months because
we were at the bottom of the list,
it's winter,
and we should have got ours right at the
so
start.
I get what you mean, but it's just because it's winter. And that's why it'll be a year.
So
because
now
it'll be winter.
that to me.
Because that's why flu jabs are every winter. Because that's when it becomes more
You have a
prevalent.
flu jab?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I've
never
never
had a flu jab.
flu jab.
Well, I used to be asthmatic, so...
I never had flu. So.
Do you get cured? Miracle.
No, I grew out of it.
Miracle.
Because that's never happened according to science. Hang on, let me ask a bishop.
Yeah.
So
So,
the bishop will go, God wouldn't cure that.
yeah.
I don't like this. The message of everyone can be a leader
Right.
is far too positive for my liking.
Right.
And I just...
People
I
need
really-
pulling down a few
I really
bits.
want to clamp down on that.
Okay.
You're not a leader. You never will be a leader. You're bottom of the ladder. Literally the bottom rung. You're not even the bottom rung. You haven't even stepped up onto the first rung yet. You're a disgrace. You're a mistake. And honestly,
Fucking hell.
I feel sick talking to you. Sorry, I just saw that.
Okay. So, what we've established is no one can be a good leader. Good leaders don't exist.
Well, no, I think...
Everyone's a leader.
Have you seen the film?
Some people are good leaders.
The trial of the Chicago 7.
No.
Good leader. Real good leader.
Can you be a good leader, but the circumstances have just made you
Che
a bad leader?
Guevara.
You could,
Good
but
leader.
then that's situational, because you could be a good leader.
Malcolm X.
Maybe you are a good leader.
Mm.
It's not you could be. You are a good leader.
So what
But
happens
you've
to
just
the
been
people that
forced to be a better
you
leader.
wouldn't see as being a leader that are a good leader in them situations?
Martin
I
Luther
don't
King.
understand anything you just said.
It's
Martin
'cause
Luther King?
I've just flipped you on point.
Martin Luther King.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good leader.
He was a very charismatic leader.
But
That's
isn't that
another
because
theory
he
of
had
leadership.
all of the leadership qualities?
Not potentially, because he
Traits.
wasn't
Let's
white.
keep our terms.
When I named those 8, no point did I say white.
No, but in terms of trait theory, when you think
yeah,
the great man who's always white,
Yeah.
probably had a moustache.
Oh, I can see it now. Number 7, white. No,
Yeah, but
But I
back
imagine
then they
he must
wouldn't
have
see a good leader as
no,
a
but
black man.
you'd assume he had the knowledge of what he was doing. He had the drive, he had the desire, he had the honesty and the integrity, the self-esteem and confidence, open-minded to how he would be doing his thing. He had to be intelligent. Extrovert? Extroverted, I don't agree with in any way, but the other 7, I think that he must have been.
Yeah, so trait theory isn't necessarily wrong, but it misses out gaps because people might not have any of them traits and are very, very good leaders.
But can you think of someone without any of those traits?
I
Without
can't read your right.
knowledge of business, drive, desire, honesty and integrity, self-esteem, self-confidence,
You.
open-minded, intelligent.
You ain't got any of them traits.
But that's
None of them.
why they're not
Literally
going to
none
come
of
And that's
them.
why you're a good leader.
You ain't got a single one of them traits. Morals, out the window, mate.
Hitler.
Disgrace. You're a disgrace.
Stalin.
Honestly.
Was Stalin a good leader?
He was good for Russia, wasn't he?
No.
You've got like
I don't think he was.
Millions of Russians died.
no, but I mean in terms of what he did for the Russian economy and
Yeah, but millions of Russians died. Like millions and
Yeah,
millions.
yeah, I'm
More
not-
Russians died than Jews died in the
I'm
Holocaust.
not saying his
During
morals were on
Stalin's rule.
point.
He refused to feed them. He starved them.
Yeah.
Why do we
No, but I don't get what you look at me go. Yeah.
Mine's slightly off. Like, there's a leader of a concentration camp called Goeth. You seen Schindler's List?
Yeah.
So Goeth, Ralph Fiennes,
Yeah.
he led the Paslow concentration camp.
Ralph Fiennes did not.
But why do we not ever consider him as a serial killer? When he was, clearly. He would stand on his balcony and be like, let's stop walking, shoot him.
Because it was genocide instead of serial, wasn't it?
No.
serial is like one after the other.
Yeah, but I still think that
And
you should be considered a serial killer, right? Because we didn't even consider him as a the genocide. We just go, he was a Nazi.
But we had to change our definition of serial killer for genocidal killers, right? Because it was like people who just killed and killed and killed and killed.
Right.
But then we changed it to like it has to be 3 people in 10 months span.
Oh, really?
Yeah, or something like that. Or there was there's a certain cap and limit to what it should be in a certain amount of time. Yeah.
Do people oppose bad leadership?
Do what?
Do people have a moral obligation to oppose bad leadership?
And does that make them a good leader?
What, the people that oppose it?
Mm.
I'm saying like like Nazis,
Yeah.
who were just soldiers or whatever,
Yeah.
who even ones who like worked on the camps but weren't in charge or anything like
Yeah.
that. Do you think they have a moral obligation to oppose their leadership?
Yeah.
Isn't that called like the fishbowl method or something? Isn't it? Where you're like, they're put in this scenario and they don't want to be in there.
But I think it is very difficult. And I think the people that oppose bad leadership, especially bad moral leadership, like that circumstance, they're the leaders that we would look to because they display morality and integrity and the things that you'd expect in a leader, standing up for the right thing, making a point, being very extroverted. They're all these things that you'd think or would assume that a leader would possess, but they're just possessing it in the right circumstances.
I think it's quite a modern thing to be like, you should challenge leaders.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't back in the
So back in the day, it was very much you do what you are told to do. Like even like a very, very recent example, like George Floyd when he was killed.
Yeah.
That's true, actually.
The police officers who, what was the guy's name? Who crushed him?
Derek Chauvin.
Yeah. The other police officers under law had no obligation to get involved at all because he was the senior police officer or whatever. They were just pedestrians. So people were like, they need to be convicted. But according to the law, they don't have. They're just pedestrians. If they got convicted, every pedestrian there, even the person filming it and put it online, had to be convicted because they were just pedestrians according to the law. But they've now changed that law. So that in that state, if you're a police officer and another police officer, no matter how senior they are, does something to be perceived as illegal, you have to get. You are now morally obligated and legally obligated. The important thing to get involved.
Yeah,
I think that's just like it's just become a very modern thing. Of just because someone's in charge,
is that
doesn't mean they're right.
We're slowly moving into, and I mean very slowly, moving into the right way to live, because there is a right way to live.
Is that? Jeez, that's a big topic, isn't it?
I think that I don't think there's a right way to live, but I do think there is a wrong way to live.
I think there's 100% a right way to live. 100% a right way to live, and I think that us three all believe in that right way to live. I think there is a right way to live.
But could you write it down on paper, or is it just a belief
I think you could
you
enough
have,
time. I think you could.
like innately?
No, I think you could write it down on paper. I think you could.
It'd take a lot of years.
It would, but is that not good leadership quality? Is not making the right way to live the best leadership quality? Because we're not in it at the moment at all, and I think that probably 40% of the world would disagree with the right way to live. But I don't think that's because they're morons.
That's just your ideological belief.
But I think of ethics and morals.
So you
but that's
think
your
about moral
it's your
leadership.
ideology.
No, I think that's the right way.
Yeah, because it's your ideology.
No. But that is
no,
the right way.
I understand.
No one can stand up and go, well, we should storm the Capitol and like blacks and that's right. So we should like put like foreign people in cages. Like the people who stand up and do that and go, yes, that way. That is not the right way to live.
10 minutes ago, you were against the idea of like authoritarian enforcement of like vaccines. But I would argue the right way to live is to vaccinate. You were against that 2 seconds ago, and now you're saying there is the right way to live.
But I think there's like debating there to have, but I think you can come up with the right way to live.
But the right way to live is very, very subjective.
No, I think there's a right way to live.
Yeah, according to your values and your beliefs.
I believe that is the right way to live.
Okay, so what about all the other people?
Then they're wrong. They're morons.
But why are you more of a leader than them?
So why do you think that the 40% people who go, not 40%, but like people who go, well, we should put like Mexicans in cages and part them from their families. Those people who stand up, they are wrong. There is not a single bit about their existence.
Don't get me wrong. There are obviously big topics where I fundamentally believe that my opinion is correct.
Yeah, so
fundamentally believe
that is the right way to live.
Perceive to be basic
correct.
morality.
That is
principles.
the right way to live.
But that doesn't mean like there's a lot of nuance to life.
Mm.
Like the idea of like
but
effectively
nuance,
what's a concentration camp, or like
but nuance is part of the right
unfair
to live.
deportation, or like
But nuance becomes
against
the
the
right
Geneva Conventions of people's rights to migrate and stuff like that. Obviously, that's a massive issue, and I have opinions on that. But like minor things.
But nuance is part of the perfect way to live. I think there's certain.
That's why I don't think there's a perfect way to live, because there's nuance to it, though. I agree, there's nuance to it. That's why I don't think.
I think there should always be debate, but
I
think that there's just, I don't know, maybe next time.
I don't think I'm absolutely correct on every single one of my opinions. I definitely don't believe.
Well, I think you are.
Thanks, man.
That's fine.
I definitely don't believe that.
No, but I also think I am. But I think that after enough time, you could.
I think the
You
sign
could make
of
a perfect way to live. I think
the main indicator of an unintelligent person, I don't even mean classically unintelligent, I mean like what I actually believe to be unintelligent is like the people who refuse to adapt. Well, if what he's arguing is true, then yeah, the refusal to adapt ideology in any way, in any nuance. Refusing to change based off of new information, which if you have a perfect life, you have a perfect ideal, then you're not going to adapt.
No, because perfect means that you would keep changing, wouldn't it? Perfect means that you change for if something else is proven to work.
So there is no perfect life then?
No, it's perfect. Perfect means that change happens. Perfect means you fit the perfect way. Perfect just means to fit, right?
So your definition of perfect now, we've circled fully round, is could change, could be a bit this, could be a bit that.
So my next episode then will be that I will pose you the perfect way to live.
So your definition of perfect way to live is what you currently believe?
No, because I know that I'm wrong on
It's
that.
just
I'm
whatever
wrong.
you
I'm wrong.
currently
I am wrong also on some of my opinions. I never said I was right. I said that you were right.
So I'm going to pull this back to the topic in hand.
Yeah.
If you're proposing...
Is George a hippo or a cow?
If you're proposing the perfect way to live, does that mean eventually we will be able to define the perfect leader?
No. I don't think there is a perfect leader.
Why?
Louis' perfect way to live is a very fluid thing, okay?
I don't think there's a perfect leader because I think that us three... Could you lead... Oh, such a bad question.
I could lead literally anything.
Alfie's the perfect leader.
Literally anything.
Alfie. Alfie. Alfie.
God, stop it! I can't think of a single thing I couldn't lead.
I think that we could all... I'm using this like that. We could all lead, but it doesn't mean that like, we're the perfect leader, because there'd be qualities of us that would also suck a little bit. Like your hair. It's fucking shite. So like, no, I'm joking. I was about to say something. I couldn't think of anything else apart from...
Wow, that is...
Apart from the long list of things I had, but I want it to be nice. We got to bed a little bit early. Did you come to Radio Festival this year? Didn't see you, fair enough. Didn't see you.
Really?
Mine's in the bag in the car.
There's no such thing as perfect leader, and I don't care. Why do we care?
I'm going to say at the end of
There's
every
no such
single
thing
one
as
of your
perfect
episodes.
anything.
Okay. But...
This is philosophical. Perfect means faultless, but perfect would mean that you accept their faults, so their faults no longer are faults.
That's not the meaning of perfect.
No,
You just changed the meaning of
Perfect.
perfect. You just went, perfect means this, and I was like, yeah, and then you went, perfect means this.
Well,
No,
it's
that's
a
not
paradox
perfect.
then, in fairness. Perfect means to be faultless, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you take up people's faults, so they no longer
That's
they
not...
no longer
No,
become
you're changing
faults.
the meaning of the word
No,
perfect.
so they no longer become faults, which means they are then faultless. Paradox.
No.
No, what you're on about, that actually works.
Yeah, it does work. No, but there's still, just because you accept a fault doesn't mean it's not a fault.
Paradox in the paradox.
I get what you mean. No, I do get what you mean. That's probably one of the most intelligent things you've said in the weeks. But
Thanks, Al.
that's not even offensive. It was a good point. But
Cheers, mate.
also,
Cheers.
I don't believe it.
Come now.
Anyway, so we've established that there's no such thing as a good leader, and it's...
Yeah, but I think that was a very good discussion to have, actually, Declan. That was a very good discussion to have. I'd actually like to carry the discussion on further.
We can.
Just not this episode. But
Just
I think
not that. We can have a leadership part 2.
I would like to do a the perfect world.
Okay.
I think that's coming.
Yeah.
I'm not happy with the conclusions of this episode at all.
Next week I'm jutting in. I'm
what
putting
would you
mine
like
in.
the conclusions to be?
You're either a good leader or you're shit.
Right.
There's no such thing as a perfect world, especially not the one Louis.
But I asked you what makes a good leader and a bad leader.
Yeah.
And you couldn't give me anything.
Next
that's
week I've
substantive.
Because I don't
decided.
believe there is any sort of definition.
So
I
you
don't
said there's
I
no
don't
such
believe
thing as good
anybody
leader
could
and
be a
bad
leader.
leader.
I don't believe anyone could be a leader.
Okay. So what makes people a good leader
We'll
and bad
discuss it in
leader?
the next episode.
This is what was meant to be this episode.
Next week there is a part 2 going into next week. Is the part 2 of this?
Okay. Alright.
He's depressed now.
What are you drinking?
He's upset.
This is quite a nice can.
It's always my episode.
We did talk about leaders a lot, Declan.
We also talked about rainbow perfection.
Shit!
What?
This is a quote that matches this episode like absolute cake, mate. That didn't really make sense. If others can see it as I have seen it, then it may be called a vision rather than a dream. William Mavis. Does that say Mavis out?
Morris.
Morris. I am using that quote. Did you hear what I said?
Yeah.
No, say it
If
again.
others can see it as I have seen it, then it may be called a vision rather than a dream. Oh my God!
Can you
That
imagine
is
if you knocked the
phenomenal.
camera off there?
That is actually quite good for what you were
It
saying.
is, yeah. What did you think of it?
We had a
The
black.
actual-
I just gotta
not
get
the
back.
can.
We had a black lager.
Okay.
It was a utopian brewing.
Yeah.
Black lager, Louis.
Yeah, mate.
Porter, wasn't it?
You are?
It was a porter, wasn't it?
This is. Yeah, that literally was a porter.
It was a porter, wasn't it?
That literally was a porter. But sometimes we have black lagers, and
Yeah,
I'll
it was a
go,
porter.
oh, that's a bit like that is like a black Foster's.
I've
isn't
had a black lager before.
That was a
It
porter.
tasted like a black lager. That tastes like
that
a
tastes like a porter.
It was very creamy, quite like smooth. It is a porter. It was a nice porter. Inspired by the full-bodied, rich and roasted black lagers of Czechia, this is a beer for winter contemplation. Now, to be fair, tonight's been winter contemplation. Brewed with a double brewed with a double decoction mash, an extended boil, and packed with British-grown Fuggles hops. This beer is big, bold, and will leave you wanting another. Do you want another?
What's a Fuggles hop? I actually quite liked it, to be fair. No, well, I didn't at the start, but I got used to it. I'll say that actually.
Avoid beer if trying to conceive.
Oh.
Okay. So
Now look at my face.
I was drinking a co-op owned brand New Zealand Marlborough Pinot Grigio. The description reads: aromas of pear drops and nutty characters lead to an intense stone fruit and lychee palate. A mouth-filling and well-rounded wine with refreshing acidity, wonderfully served as part of an aperitif or alongside lightly spiced chicken or fish dishes. Store on a cool dark place. Yeah, it was alright. It weren't as dry as I hoped it would be, but I kind of expect that from Pinot. It was nice. It went down well. Out of a 5, I'd probably give it a 2.5. Average.
Right.
Average Pinot.
And what do you think of this beer?
Nice.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah,
Well,
fair enough. Join us next week for something loose.
Part
we'll do
2. It's
probably.
part 2 of this.
Part 2 of this.
I'm going to go rainbow binge.
Jesus. Bye.
Thank you for watching this Guzzler video.